And he was such a nice Jewish boy. Jesus changed my life. And he's still in the life-changing
Our lives
business.
were both in the tank, heading for disaster.
The rules have changed when we proclaim Messiah. Because real Jews don't believe in Jesus. Well, God says the opposite.
I am still Jewish.
Amen.
That a pair of Jews beats a royal flush.
Shalom, welcome to CrossTalk. I'm Randy Weiss. When we concluded our last episode, I made a comment about my father, who I loved very, very dearly. I had the best mom and dad. And I say that categorically. I don't think anybody ever had parents as good as mine. And I look at the kind of father I had, and I say to myself, I'll never be able to be as good as my father, but I have a role model, a pattern that I want to try and follow. Now, we didn't agree on the person of Jesus, but apart from that, we didn't really have a whole lot of disagreements. Well, since about 1968, we had a pretty big one in 68 over the Democratic National Convention, but that's another story. This isn't a time for me to be facetious because I don't have my father anymore. I don't have my mother anymore. And the truth is, I was disowned by my parents because of my faith in Jesus. But that's not the story today. That's not what I came here to tell you. I made a comment about a question my father asked. The day that I came and told my parents that I believed in Jesus was one of the worst days of my life. And my father pointed out Hitler and the Nazis and how we lost relatives. I mean, we had people in the camps, and we have relatives who survived the camps. How could I do this? It's a shanda. It's a scandal. I am a traitor. The issue being, those people were Christians. The people who killed the Jews were Christians in the eyes of my father. And I said to my father, that's not true. They just thought they were Christians, or they just said they were Christians. They weren't Christians, because Christians wouldn't do that. Well, I personally spent many years following that conversation, researching and asking the hard question, trying to prove to myself that my father was wrong. They weren't Christians. And the conclusion that I came to was very hard for me to swallow. There were many Christians. Maybe they were bad Christians, but they were Christians. There were Christians in the Crusades who killed Jews. They did it with a holy fervor. There were Christians among the Germans. It was a German nation. There were Christians in Spain during the Spanish Inquisition. We might not feel they were good Christians. We might feel they were deceived, deluded, confused. But you know what? To a victim, it doesn't matter. And we've been victims. To the victim, they're wearing a cross. To the victim, they were just Christians. And that's how so many Jews think of Christianity. And one of the main purposes of CrossTalk, and why I am in ministry, I'm in ministry for two reasons: to declare Jesus, God's love, what He's done, and to help the church be better equipped to be credible Christian witnesses. We have Jeffrey D. Miller with us today, a Jewish evangelist former radio, TV expert, host, news anchor, a media guy, and a man who loves Jesus.
Amen.
We've been talking about some of these things, and it's important. It's just important stuff.
Yeah, Randy, as a guy who was an atheist for 24 years and came to know Jesus, and we're sitting here both as Jewish men who came out of darkness into his marvelous light, but differently than some of our Christian audience, because they had heard the name Jesus growing up and just took them a while till they embraced him. Not so with us. We didn't hear the name Jesus. When you have a fascinating testimony. When you grow up in your Jewish home with your loving parents, how was your Jewishness? What did you think of your Jewishness as you grew up?
Oh, it was so important to me. I was not just pleased and proud to be a Jew. It was our life. It was important. It was valuable. Our life revolved around synagogue and family. My grandparents, my father's mother and father were, Orthodox, very observant. And wow, I mean, life was just about the mishpacha, about the family.
So you absolutely embraced Judaism.
Oh, yeah.
Did you enjoy synagogue?
Yeah, I did. I started, had some interesting opportunities. One of my Hebrew school teachers when I was in Hebrew school was David Steinberg, a pretty famous Jewish comedian of the era. Okay. And he was a religious Jew, and he apparently was maybe having a rough patch in his Hollywood career, I don't know, but he was teaching at our synagogue, and I was in his class, and he would come and bring his guitar and sing Pete Seeger songs.
In Hebrew?
No. Everything was Jewish to Jewish people.
Right.
Our life just revolved around what we believed and how it affected us.
Did you live in a Jewish neighborhood?
No. I grew up in Gary, Indiana, and it was probably 1/3 black, 1/3 Hispanic, 1/3 white, and then amongst the whites, there was a small percentage that were Jewish, but we hung out together.
How did the Christian community interact with you, or rather, how did you interact with them? Was there much proselytization? Was there a lot of people witnessing to you when you grew up?
None.
They let you alone?
Yeah. It's interesting that later in life, I joined a rock band in 1965, and I was just a teenager. For my bar mitzvah, I got enough. You get gifts at your bar mitzvah, and sometimes you get a fountain pen. Today, I am a fountain pen. That's a Jewish thing. You'd had to been there. You know what? I rarely get to talk about these things, and I appreciate you asking me the question. We need to take a short break, but when we come back,
I'll ask more.
Okay, that's way cool. Please stay tuned.